Hello everybody, this is PI Help with another video. We're going to be discussing handgun licensing in New York State and in New York City because that's not exactly the same. So let's look at it from a Floridian standpoint, why it would not be the same. Okay, and let's see how it works in New York State and in New York City. Let's say you're a Floridian and then you live in Tampa. Tampa issues you a carry permit. When Tampa issues you a carry permit, you want to go to Miami, and when you go to Miami, what happens is you go down there and they take your license because it's not valid in Miami because not Miami issued actually your license. That's exactly what's happening in New York State prior to the Bruno case, but it is still somewhat prominent today, and I will show you how this actually works in New York City and in New York State. So let's look at it. Okay, the easiest license to get in New York City is the Target, but I have some other licenses here, and I will discuss it. You have a Target license, you have a special, you have a work, you have a private carry, and carry business and premise. Premise permit is very rarely issued. The reason for that is very difficult to take the gun to the pistol range. Those days you were able to take it twice a year to practice to fire it, but anyway, it was a big mess. So that's why very few premise permits were actually issued. And if it was issued, most likely the individual who had a premise permit also had a Target permit. You actually had two permits, not one. We'll discuss that a little later. Special permit. Special permit is a permit, let's say there are some other special permits, collectors, non-collectors, and well, anyway, I'm just going to talk about from what aspect of the special permit. Let's say you're a Floridian and you have your carry permit in Florida and you want to do business in New York, and you do business in New York, you apply for a special permit, and let's say you receive your special permit. Actually, the special permit is actually issued by New York City. The reason for that New York City is issuing a special permit is because it is conjunction to your Floridian permit. If you don't have a Floridian permit, you cannot apply for a special permit because it contingents on the Floridian permit, and that's good for New York City, and it's also good in New York State. But if you lose your Florida permit, you also will lose your special permit. So that's the way the special permit actually works. So let's continue. You have a work permit. Work permit is, let's say you work for an armored car company or you work for an armored security, you can apply for a work permit. Okay. Now, you also have a private carry permit. Good luck on that. Good luck on that one. Even today, it takes maybe up to about 6 to 1 year, or maybe it may be longer. So you're probably going to be retiring by the time if you're 50 years old and you apply for a private carry, you probably will retire by the time you get it. Then you have the business carry permit, the same thing. Rejection rate is incredibly high on that one. But let's talk about a little bit about the carry business or private carry. Back in the 1950s and in 1955, what happened? You had actually permits that was issued in New York City, but it's issued actually by the captains of the precincts before they centralized this whole thing. So what happened? Those permits were actually issued for life, and that's going to be important later on because this permit is actually issued for life. I will get into that, how this actually happened, and I will get to the back of this one. Also, this same permit, which is actually, this is the original permit, the front and the back. So, let's continue. Back in the late 1970s, because 1977 I received my rifle and shotgun permit. About 2 years later, I applied for a Target permit. So what you had to do those days to apply for a Target permit, Well, number one, you went down and you received your course. We had a young NRA instructor come down and he carried a 38 special 2-inch Lulu J frame, which I will get into that a little bit later. It was stainless steel, and that's going to be important. So I applied for my target permit. You go down to a face-to-face interview, and as I'm going down to the face-to-face interview, what happens is something very simple. Okay, I tell the police officer there during the interview, I said I would like to buy a nice little 22. The reason for that, I can throw it in my school case, and then I can go to school, and then when I go to school I can go down to 20 West 20th Street, because Manhattan Community College was located in Midtown Manhattan around the 50th Street, so you had a subway on the 23rd Street. When you had the 23rd Street, you hopped off on from 53rd Street, you hopped off on the 23rd Street, so when you hopped off on the 23rd Street, you were able to come up on the 22nd Street, so the Pistol Club was right there, 20 West 20th Street. Whew! Alright. So, and I'm telling this to the police officer. Remember, taking a gun to school. It was a 2-year college. Manhattan Community College was in Midtown. Now they have a beautiful location downtown. Absolutely beautiful campus. Those days the campus was all over the place in Midtown Manhattan. And also the classrooms were all over the place. I never graduated from Manhattan Community College. I graduated from another college, but that's beside the point. Okay, so what do we have? I went down to Woodhaven Rifle and Pistol Club, and I was talking to the guy. I said, I had my interview. Well, how did it go? So I told him what I said on the interview. I will not take my handgun, throw it in the case, go to school, go down to 20 West 20th Street, and they're going like this. You're not going to get it. Okay. So how am I going to get it? What happened? About 3 weeks later, I received a letter from the New York City Police Department. Don't forget, it's a beautiful little letterhead, absolutely gorgeous. New York City Police Department Licensing Division. It says right on it. Okay. So I said, okay, should I open this rejection? Because it's 3 weeks after the interview, which is very, very quick, by the way. 3 weeks after the interview, it's very, very quick. So, rejection. I open it up, your license is approved. Okay, so I go down there, pick up the license. You also pick up a purchasing order with that, and I bought my first handgun. And my first handgun, you guessed it, it's a Lulu 22 caliber J frame. This is the gun. So I go down to Woodhaven Rifle Pistol Club. I said, I got it. And the funny part is they look like, okay. So I go to the point, and there was a whole bunch of guys who were standing at the point. I didn't know who they were. So what happens is, I talked to them. I said, guys, because it was on a small bench on a point, I said, would you mind showing me how to use this little handgun? So they said, where is it? It's right there. So I had no idea who these gentlemen were. They had more guns than anything else. It turned out that it was New York City SWAT. Okay. So they pick up the little gun and they passed it among themselves like it was like a hot potato. The little J frame, Lulu 22. Whoa, they didn't ask. Wow, I said, whoa. So, okay, so they showed me how to use the little 22. I said, okay, you have basically 3 grips. Okay, so I'm going to go over very quickly the 3 grips. So one of the grip is you hold it like this and you fire. The second grip is a cup grip. What's the cup grip? Well, let's look at what the cup grip is. You drink the coffee like this. Okay, so that's the cup grip. So let's look at the cup grip. Cup grip, you hold it like this and you fire. Okay? Now let's look at the wrist grip. Well, because they showed me the wrist grip also. All right, the wrist grip is as follows. And I was watching a couple of Chinese movies, and in the Chinese movies, some of them they did it correctly, and some of them they did not. So, the gun, as a gun recoils, it recoils up. Okay? So you take your thumb and you place at the wrist where the actual recoil can occur, or wrist moving up. You grab it around your wrist. Okay? When you grab it around your wrist, you take this particular thumb and you place it right there, and you hold it down and you can squeeze the trigger. The reason for that, this particular thumb is that it controls from left to right. This particular thumb controls the recoil up and down as you firing the gun. So 1, 2, 3, fire. So that's what they showed me, and that's what. Matter of fact, you have to be very careful with the wrist grip, because I seen it in a pistol range doing it incorrectly. So what happened is they had the thumb very high or too high, and what happened is that the slide, as it slid back, yes, you guessed it, the thumb. I just shaved it off, and I'm going like this. I said, no, 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 don't do that. Yes, but they are still doing it as of today. It's amazing when you go down to the pistol clubs what you can see, and it's just amazing. Well, anyway. So, I get my target permit, and this is actually on my New York State. This is the last of the permit, because this is the first of the gun, so it goes on the last. So, that's what it is. Now we have another gun here. It's a 38 Special. 38 Special is, you guessed it, it's a little J-frame. Now this little J-frame is a 5-shot little handgun. This used to be my father's gun. As a matter of fact, quite a few people actually wanted to buy this particular gun, this gun from me, because it's a heavy barrel 38 5-shot. And they wanted to buy the little 22. I said, no, it's not for sale. So, what it is, my father actually used this particular gun as an armed security when he retired. Wow, think about this. Little J-frame, 5-shot, armed security. Well, today, no, I don't think so. Those days, the answer was yes. He was able to use it. So when he completely retired, he gave me the gun. This is the exact gun. Heavy barrel, 3-inch, 38 Special. Now, I mentioned the 38 Special, the young instructor, he had a 5-shot stainless steel. So the amazing thing about it is that in New York City, ammunition was very, very expensive. So what they did with the 38 Special, because you can use plus P plus load in there, but not as a steady diet. No, you don't put it in. So what they did is they downloaded. They used the 110 grain, and the velocity coming out of the gun was approximately about 700 feet per second. So they were able to use the gun and shoot it all day and not show wear and tear on the gun. So why is the stainless steel was important? Because everybody's mother's uncle wanted to buy a little 2-inch stainless steel those days. It was very, very popular, the 38 Special 2-inch stainless steel. So that's what the instructor was carrying also. So what did a couple of guys do? You guessed it, maybe. What they did is they actually put it in what? The dishwasher to get it cleaned. You can't make this stuff up. That's exactly what they did. They put them into the dishwasher. I mean, okay guys, I mean, wow. Well, anyway. So, back in 1984, we also had a family farm upstate New York. Upstate New York family farm. We had a small family farm, and what happened is I applied for a carry permit. It's called the New York State Carry Permit, Sullivan County. Sullivan County, actually, Sheriff Wasser was the sheriff who, at that time, and you applied at the sheriff's office. So, okay, I applied. Sheriff Wasser was a New York product. He actually was a warden at Rikers Island. So when I applied for the carry permit, he rejected it. No. Okay. So what to do? So I asked for the audience for the judge. Judge Brown right here, and he's the one who signed my carry permit. So what's on this carry permit? First of all, it's a number and the date. The date that is actually issued is 5/3/84. Then it says my name on it, and it says P.O. Box. Murphy Road is actually incorrect because it's not in White Lake, New York. Murphy Road is actually in Swan Lake, but we could not get a post office box prior to that, and it became White Lake, P.O. Box, White Lake, New York. Now, if you really look at it, where is location of White Lake is, it is very, very close to Woodstock. And yes, I was at Woodstock at the 25th reunion. It was unbelievably amazing. So, what else does it say here? Well, it says the occupation, of course the occupation is self-employed, which is a business carry permit. So, what does it say? What else does it say? Well, Judge Brown, when he approved it, he says, no restriction. Right here, right on it. No restriction. That's incredibly important. On the back of it, what do you have? This license is issued under the following condition: good till revoked. Okay, that's part one. Now, it is revocable at any time, but it continues. It is if issued outside of New York City. If issued outside of New York City, not valid to carry a weapon in New York City, unless approved by the police commissioner of that city. But wait a minute, what does it say here? No restriction, issued by the judge. Okay, so what do they do in New York? Okay, if you carry it or you flash it around, this is what you call Manhattan judgment. Manhattan judgment, don't forget, Police Plaza is actually in Manhattan. So what they do is they take your permit, they take your gun, and you can kiss it goodbye. Why? They're not going to revoke it, not the police department, but they go front of a judge and they ask the judge to revoke the permit because it says good to revoke. Not the police department because it's issued by a judge. Okay? So you have to be very, very careful in New York whether or not you carry these particular licenses in New York City, back into New York City, especially Manhattan. Especially Manhattan. I don't think I would advise it. Even says no restriction. So what else is interesting about this permit? What's interesting about this permit, it has no expiration whatsoever. No expiration. Why? Because this permit is actually issued for life. I mentioned it earlier that New York City, back in the 1955, 1960s, before it was centralized to Police Plaza, the police captains actually issued the licenses, and yes, those permits was also issued for life. You're going to see very rarely issue this permit. As a matter of fact, in the New York City Police Museum, there is no permit or license being issued prior to 1960 that is issued for life. They don't have one. Why? Because I asked it quite a few times when I went down there to renewing my target permits and my rifle and shotgun permits, see if they have one. No, they don't. It was actually a paper permit, the same type of a paper permit as my father's rifle and shotgun. I don't know how it's possible that I have that, but I still do. So, what happened is, in 1984, 5384. There's another aspect to it. You see another gun here. And that other gun here, it says Walther 380. PP model pistol. Okay. I bought that particular gun exactly the same day. This is a purchase of this particular handgun, and the date, it says 5384. 5384. So it says 5384. So what is this gun? This is a Walther PP gun. Original Walther PP, made in West Germany. Yes, folks, made in West Germany. And this particular gun, this is what I carried in New York. Of course, the guns were all checked prior to it. So thousands and thousands of rounds went through this particular gun. And in New York City and in New York, if you actually use a 380, we have the 25, you're able to use any gun you wanted, the 25 feet and the 50 feet. Forget pistol competition. This earned me an expert. Now, if you look at the other video that I did, the 380 qualifies on all around. There's a load there, 100 grain, 2.6 grain of Winchester 231 small pistol primer Winchester, and overall length. This is the gun that actually, so thousands of rounds went through this gun, and not a single time actually visited gunsmith. This is in, everything is in original. Of course, this gun is retired. This is only for showing purposes. I think they jipped me out because it comes only with one magazine. Not two, one. I think they took one out in 1984. So anyway, this particular gun, I have no idea how many rounds of ammo. You have to take the magazine out before you can actually, because this is a Walther PP model. They also have a Walther PPK-S model today that I just saw. And that particular one is a 32 ACP, so I will be picking up a 32 ACP as a Walther PP model. Okay, so let's continue with a couple of stories on this one. So I'm upstate New York, and taking my gun with me to Canada. No. So what happens? We are going to Niagara. Okay, so before you go over to the bridge to Canada, three blocks from the bridge, there's a police station there. Police precinct in Buffalo, of course. So I go into the police station. The gun was unloaded, and I said I would like to surrender my gun. I'd like to have the voucher because I'm going to Canada. I don't want to actually take it to Canada, so I would like to leave it here and pick it up when I come back. No problem, the sergeant. I fill out the paperwork. So the paperwork as follows: Walther, caliber, and my name. That's all. I gave him the voucher, give him the gun, the magazine, and I gave him 7 bullets. 3 days later, I'm coming back from Canada, go to the police station, present the voucher, picking up the gun. He gives me the gun about 15 minutes later because they could not find the gun. I said, okay, I hope they didn't lose it. So I get the gun, and I'm looking at it. I said, there's a magazine missing here. So they dig underneath the paperwork, and they find the magazine. So when they find the magazine, I said, wait a minute, I give you guys 7 bullets. So they dig even more and they come up with 6 bullets. I said, okay. So I load the magazine with the 6 bullets. Now this is where it gets even more interesting. So I have the gun, the magazine is loaded. So I asked the police officer, excuse me, where you guys load the gun, do you have the loading bench? No. So I said, where you guys load it? He said, we go to the bathroom. I said, okay, can I go to the bathroom and load it there? So he says, yes. So as I'm walking toward the bathroom, he stops me, he says, by the way, do you have a permit for that? You can't make this stuff up. So I said, yes, I do, of course I do. So I'm gonna reach into my pocket and show him the permit. So he says, it's okay. So I go into the bathroom, load the gun and walk out from the police station. Now, today, I don't think that would be possible. I don't think today that would be possible in New York, anywhere, to walk in to the police station and walk out to the police station not showing your license. I doubt it very much. Not in New York. Another story in Liberty, New York. In Liberty, New York, when you're coming out from Liberty, New York, which is very close to White Lake, it's about a 5,000 population township. Is it 5? Yeah, okay, make it 5. So anyway, they have their own police station also. So what happened is, I'm coming out from, they have a barrack, state trooper barrack. They had one. Anyway, now they have a beautiful building, absolutely beautiful building. It was a police barrack there, and the police barrack was actually a mobile home. So I walk into the barrack, right at the front desk there, they have a small desk. I said, I'm carrying a gun, I'd like to see one of the police officers. He said, well, okay, no problem. Surrender, no surrender? They said, no, you don't have to surrender. Okay, I'm walking out. I had to go back about 2 or 3 days later. Okay, I walked back 2 or 3 days later, they recognized me, the same gentleman was there, and I said, you know, I'm carrying, I said, yeah, okay, I'm gonna take the gun. And I told him, I said, there's one in the chamber and it is completely loaded. So he takes the gun, he does not unload it, he puts it into the desk drawer. As I'm walking out, he gives it back to me and I put it back in my holster and I walk out. So that's the way, those days, upstate New York handled the gun. Today, you cannot do that. Matter of fact, today, what happens is, I mentioned it earlier that I took my rifle and shotgun permit and my little .22 caliber rifle. Then a couple of times I went down to Woodhaven Rifle and Pistol Club with my rifle on the subway line. Today, subway, no gun zone, no G zone, no gun, no G, no gun zone. So you cannot actually take your rifle with you. Let's say if you want to go to the pistol range or to the gun range in New York City, because you actually today you have about 4 of them. One in Yonkers, which is outside of New York City. I think you still have that range. I'm not sure. So there's only maybe 2-3 ranges in the whole entire New York City of 10 million. One in 20 West 20th Street, I think they're still there. Woodhaven Rifle and Pistol, I think they're still there. And I think there's a newer range there. And you have the Yonkers. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That was it. So let's talk about a little bit more about some of these permits. A little bit. Work permit is very easy to get. Relative once you have the target permit. Don't forget those days, And even today, if you have the work permit, it's a good idea for you to get the target permit, because just in case you lose your job, or you want to give up working as an armed security or anything like that, you give up your work permit, but you still have your target permit. It's much easier to get your work permit back. It takes about less than a month to get your work permit, providing you have your target permit only. If you don't have your target permit, you have to start the whole process again, the whole thing. So it's a good idea to have your target permit. That's another interesting thing about New York City and New York State. If you want to, for example, if you had a target permit, yes, you were able to take it hunting with you. How did that happen? Well, first of all, in New York City, you got yourself something like a little blue card. It's an endorsement, basically, so you can take your target permit and you can take it actually hunting with you. So if you have a 357 Magnum or a 44 Magnum, you want to take it to, you need that blue card endorsement on your target permit. Otherwise, it can be complicated. You're complicating your life. You don't want to complicate your life. You want to keep it simple. So that's another interesting point about New York City and between New York State. New York City don't have that. New York City does. Another thing is that you are able to get in New York City on your license 4 handguns. 1, 2, 3, 4. In New York City, I'm talking New York City here, the same as in New York State, 4. To receive, you get your first handgun with your issuing license. Then you go down there and they put it on. You may have to make an appointment. When you make an appointment, they check the permit, they check your the make of the gun, the caliber of the gun, the serial number of the gun, the model, and whether it's a revolver. Same thing. Whether it's New York State or New York City, doesn't really matter. And they put them on your license. Now, let's say if you want the 5th gun, because there's only 3 places, actually there's a 4th one right here underneath. What happens if you want a 4th one in New York City or a 5th one? Well, it's very simple. You have to apply for a purchase order. When you apply for the purchase order, you have to tell them what's the purpose of the gun. Let's say you have 22, you have a 380, you have a 38 special, and then you want to receive, you have a 9mm, and let's say you want a 44 Magnum with a 6-inch barrel. Why? Hunting, purpose of hunting. Okay? You told them it's a 44 Magnum, 6-inch. Okay, so you get your license as a on the license, so you can actually take it with you for hunting purposes. But how long it takes? Well, it could take as long as 3 months to get that purchasing order. Maybe a little more now. I have no idea, but that's the way New York City works. Okay, thank you very much for listening, and have yourself a wonderful day and a safe one. Thank you.